me shout, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Mayegun diary politico. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not day of in mind. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don't come, oh.
Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me once again today, and then share this broadcast. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Mayegun today. Latu Haruna, thank you. So from wherever you are joining from, yeah, share this broadcast. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Read the caption of the broadcast, read the description as well. Share it, like it, sit back, relax, and then let's, enjoy the session. Thank you. There is so much to share with, to share tonight, or I am going to share tonight. So I'm going to advise once again, if you are just joining us, just before you get fully settled into this, like the broadcast, share it, invite everyone that you think should probably be part of it as well. And after that, we will start in a minute. So tonight we are going to be treating Atiku versus Tinubu, and what are they saying about their different cases there in their tribunal. We know what Lamidi Apapa is doing with Obi's petition. He came out today to deny, and he said, no, I haven't withdrawn Obi's petition. So let's move on to Atiku versus Tinubu. I don't know if you have heard it, yeah? I mean, just yesterday we were talking about Atiku and PDP, and we're like, why is it that APC, ignored, or they jumped Atiku and they moved on to Obi? Somebody they said came third. Well, it didn't take long. So it all started a week ago when Atiku applied that Kolu's election must be overturned because Kolu has no qualification. Kolu is a criminal. Kolu is a drug dealer. Kolu can't be president of Nigeria. That is going to be against the constitution of Nigeria. That was Atiku's stand first. But there were some he didn't really push. So when Tinubu's lawyer replied to Atiku, Their response was that, my lord, don't waste your time on Atiku. He is a serial contester. He is a serial loser. He can never win any election. Him coming here to come and challenge election results is just his normal routine. But this time around, don't entertain him. He's a serial loser. I think that got into the wrong side of Atiku this time. And you know what he did? He responded. He said, well, I may be a serial loser. I'm drug free. He said, I am drug free. I am not a Ghanaian. And so many other things that I'm going to share with you as well tonight. Meanwhile, Femi Oponu Adesina is on the, what you can call on the last laundromat job of Bokwari. I actually want to start from there because today as well, Bokwari was cited in Abuja, where he had done this military regalia, and something that probably just, something he felt like, makes him, make him feel, I don't know, powerful, something like that. A dictator, a dictator extraordinaire. So that's in Abuja. But the guy, the Alagba for Femi Oponu Adesina, was on a show recently. And I actually want to start from there before we go into the water between Tinubu and then Atiku. It's quite interesting, right? But let's stop in Lagos. Meanwhile, there's also a part tonight as well that what is going on in Sudan, the war in Sudan. Nigeria is so corrupt that rather than those in government in Nigeria to actually work and serve the people, right, even during emergency, they take advantage of every problem that you might be facing as a country, as a people. And that's exactly what they have done with these guys in Sudan. Stories, cries, complaints, attacks, and so many are now trailing the $1.2 million. Do you know that? Nigeria is paying $1.2 million to evacuate 1.5 million, 1,500 Nigerians from Sudan. And they are going to shattered the 40 buses. 40 buses that will travel for 2 days and 4 hours between Sudan and Egypt. The $1.2 million seems to have entered some level of, voicemail or delaying to the point that those who are running away from the war ended up being trapped in the Sahara Desert. That was what the war today was all about, between Abike, Dagburu, as well as the Nigerians trapped in Sudan. But let's first hear from Femi Oponu Adesina, the Alagbafo of 8 years for Bokwari. He is here to tell you, whatever you think about Nigeria, whatever you think or whatever you are saying, or whatever Nigeria is right now, wherever Nigeria is right now, that 40 to 50% of them are currently unemployed. And then you have over 140 million Nigerians living in poverty. Now that Bokwari that inherited Boko Haram is now going to leave you with Boko Haram, ISWAP 1, ISWAP 2, Fulani terrorists, bandits, and so many other terrorists that have now kind of settled down in Nigeria in 8 years. All of those are just figment of your imagination. They are just your way of not liking Bokwari. And that's exactly what Femi Oponu Adesina is explaining here. Inflation at over 50%. But officially, they said inflation is at 22%. To Femi Oponu Adesina, one day, una go enjoy the sacrifice that Bokwari made. Let's start from there, quickly.
I'll be shocked. Not just a lot of people and our viewers will be shocked if you came here and said in any way that the administration has failed. Okay. But of course, you're putting it out there that you've done something. We're not where we were, yes. But we're not where we should be.
Good. Now the question is, how many countries of the world are where they want to be? Not many. Not many. Look at what inflation is doing around the world now. Next door, neighbor Ghana. The last I saw the inflation rate was 58%. Nigeria hit just about 22%. Well, I wouldn't say about because that is bad enough. But Ghana is at 58. Other countries are higher. The United Kingdom has not had the level of inflation it has had in the past 40 years. It's all over the world. So no country of the world is where it wants to be.
You know, let me read. I want to read this, a portion of the manifesto that your principal came into office with. Urgently address capacity building of law enforcement agents in terms of quantity and quality, as this is critical in safeguarding the sanctity of lives and property. Establish a well-trained, adequately equipped and goals-driven serious crime squad to combat terrorism, kidnapping, armed robbery, militancy, ethno-religious and communal clashes nationwide. This is part of the manifesto that your principal came into office with. And in all of this, you say we're not where we were. But this is what you promised. Would you say this has been addressed?
You in that area, let me tell you the latest facts. When this administration came, Nigerian armed forces were rated 7th in Africa. 7th in terms of combat readiness, equipment, and all that. Do you know what figure we are now? 4th in Africa. 4th. Because the president has spent a lot in equipping the military, training them, boosting their morale. Our Air Force was virtually wingless as of 2015. They had 4 or 5 serviceable aircraft. Do you know how many scores of aircraft we have today, including Super Tucano and all the sophisticated ones in the world? So, in terms of arming our military, the administration has done so well. And if it didn't do that, by now, Nigeria will have been overrun by so many challenges: terrorism, insurgency, banditry, and all that. Nigeria will have been overrun. The new government will not have to equip the military the same way again, because it has been done.
Let me interrupt you here. You know, when this administration came in, we had insurgency in the Northeast. But between that time and now, we've had insecurity spread across the Middle Belt and towards the South. We have some communities that have been sacked in the Middle Belt, in Nasarawa, in Benue. And you say that this administration has done well in terms of security.
Yes, it has done well, because it could have been worse.
Oh, it could.
Yes, it definitely would have been worse. Look at this scenario. As of 2015, how many times did bombs go off in Abuja? Daily. Daily. Could you go to church without being frisked or sacked? Could you go to recreation places without bomb detectors being used on you? In fact, the recreation places were empty. And that was like all over the country. You saw the last Salah just about a week ago. You saw Doba, you saw horse riding, you saw gaiety, all over, including in Bono. Was that possible as of 2015? It was not. So, there is a lot of improvement, marked improvement. I'm not saying further challenges didn't come up. They came up. As of 2015, the major challenge facing the country was insurgency. Banditry was strange. But later, the challenges became variegated, and banditry was one of the things that came in. Among the same people, the Northwest people, they have a common language, they have a common culture, they have a common trade, they are like cattle rearers. They began to steal one another's cattle, they began to kill one another, all sorts of things. So it was another challenge. And of course, you know that kidnapping for ransom also joined it. You know that cult killings joined it. You know that other ethnic clashes came up. You had people who began to agitate for all sorts of referendum and all sorts of independent breakaway from the federation. So, when challenges multiply in a country, it is the duty of government to also rise up to those challenges. So, and I think by and large...
So has the government rise up to come in? Because yes, we focus so much on security, with the areas, education, job creation that you talked about, the improvement of the economy, but it looks as if it even got worse under this administration.
Let's talk about that. The economy that the Buhari administration met was one solely dependent on import. We import everything: toothpicks, wine, beans from Burkina Faso, rice from Thailand, everywhere. We were spending millions of dollars on importation that we couldn't afford. Money that could have been deployed towards more productive areas of the economy. Today, what do we import? Particularly in terms of rice, in terms of maize, in terms of beans, almost all grains are produced locally. All those wastage on toothpicks and wine and all that. There was this list, that was it 31 items that central bank released then that wouldn't be.
Okay, let me save you the anger, because you are still going to get angry. So I don't want you to waste all of the anger that you have in you tonight. I don't want you to waste them on Femi Oponu Adesina. You see, people like that are many in Nigeria. They are in their own world. And let me tell you this. You can't go into their world and say you want to try to convince them and change them. You can't wake somebody that is pretending to be sleeping. You know, if somebody is sleeping now, when you tap them, they will move and they will like wake up. But when you tap somebody that is pretending to be sleeping, you can tap them, you can kick them, you can do all of that. They will still be like, say, what kind of sleep is this? Because they are not sleeping. They are pretending. So for 8 years, the likes of Femi Oponu Adesina was like a role model, okay, to the likes of the moguls that look up to somebody like that. Well, his job is to whitewash the criminal government that he is part of, and all he has to do is just to keep giving you comparison, even when the obvious facts are staring him on the face. He will deviate it. It will get to a point where it's going to start sounding like, you will think, does this guy think I'm actually a fool the way he's talking? And that's why I said that you cannot be politically correct when you are hammering the truth, including when those who want to take you into a world of, okay, maybe I should just come to their level so that I can explain it to them. No, don't try it. They know what they are doing. Sure you get? So, Femi Oponu Adesina and his likes, they are doing the last whitewash. And I told my friends on TikTok earlier, I said, the reason why I don't subscribe to the idea of political correctness, you don't want to offend people, you don't want to say things that will get some people feel like a put off and all that. Like, you don't want to offend people generally. Therefore, you begin to start, you start, pretending, or should I say, try to become a politically correct. Now, the problem is this. These pretenders, this bunch of criminals, right? If you try, for example, to be politically correct with them, they will suck you in. And because in that slavish mentality, selfish, corrupt mentality of theirs, they will then beat you with experience. That's why they said, don't try to, fight a fool. If you fight a fool, well, what happens is, or let's say if you fight a pig in the dirt, what happens is that they will drag you down to their level and then they will defeat you with experience. You are not a fool, and then you should never play fool of anyone. So we'll continue to hammer it. I said the only reality to Nigerians generally, things are not happening if it is not happening to them. If it hasn't happened to them directly, then it is not happening. Okay? So when Nigeria finally happened to them, right? They are the loudest. They are those who are the most emotional, because to them, how could this happen to them in Nigeria? But if it's happening to others, it's just been exaggerated. Now that's Femi Oponu Adesina, and in another few weeks, you probably won't hear about him anymore. You have another clown who are going to be busy, entertaining you. And I think in one of them today in Abuja, where Bokwari decided to gab, sorry guys if you can see the screen. So he gabbed himself in this military attire. Look at him, the lifeless mannequin. So, well, he was there, and they also they were doing something as called the decoration of soldiers or whatever, I don't know. So, and there was a match. So I had that before we go into our political convo this evening. Watch this.
As we can see, ladies and gentlemen, the pipers flanking.
Why these journalists like this now?
We welcome His Excellency Muhammad Buhari, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Sina State. He had his early education in Katsina before joining Britain, India, and the United States of America. In the course of his military, was Chairman Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation in 1978 and became the activities on the playground as they unfold, the special guest of honor and reviewing officer, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, fully dressed and adorned.
To know that there are 81 units that will be issued new unit colors in today's ceremony.
Tales by Moonlight. Tales by Moonlight is the fourth tune from the popular Nigerian television authority from our Strong Service program.
It is also expedient to state here that it is the primary function of the regimental sergeant majors to assist the unit commanding officers to maintain military disciplines, ethics.
Chaque unité a deux représentants qui sont l'enseigne au drapeau national et l'enseigne au drapeau régimentaire de l'unité.
Le président des chefs d'État ou les monarques. Mais évidemment, parce que le Nigeria n'avait pas atteint son statut souverain en 1956, la reine Elisabeth II, donc de la reine, le deuxième régiment nigérien de la reine, ainsi que le troisième régiment nigérien de la reine, jusqu'à
after placing the brand new unit regimental colors on the drum, he will return to receive the brand new.
Il passe maintenant pour le soir le nouveau couleur nationaux pour placer sur le drapeau du
Le drapeau, le père, la paix in Nigeria. French is now part of Nigeria language, isn't it? I thought English is official. And then others. Abi? Which one is La Paix, Le Grodor, Abi Le Grodas or something? Nigeria is unraveling. Are you with me? Anyway, from what we have. So let's start this Atiku, Tinubu, Basbos. Okay? But getting into that, I think it's ideal that we sort of identify the judges that are going to be to be looking into the petitions of Obi versus Tinubu, Atiku versus Tinubu versus INEC, Obi versus Tinubu versus INEC. Who are the judges? What are their profiles? So again, my friends on TikTok, you won't be able to see them, but they are online. You can indeed search for them. So these are the Court of Appeal justices or judges that are going to determine whether all the evidence that they have against Kolu, all the evidence they have against INEC, if they are going to fly or not. So if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of give you their background, okay? So the lady justice among them, her name is Monica Bonan Dongban Mensem. Justice Monica Bonan Dongban Mensem. That's her name. So she's the Court of Appeal president. Yeah. And from her track, they said she's an authority in criminal and civil procedure law, legislative drafting, constitutional and administrative law, among others. So among the cases that she's been sort of known for, they call them high-profile cases. So they said she presided over, former chairman of Federal House of Representatives Adult Committee on Fuel Subsidy, Farouk Lawan. You remember Farouk Lawan, yeah? So they said Lawan was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment in June 2021 by FCT High Court, having found him guilty of bribery in 2012. So following a 3-count charge filed against him by the ICPC. So he appealed. When Lawan appealed, Justice Monica was the one who now gave her own verdict. In its verdict, a 3-member panel by Appeal Court President Monica Dongban Mensem said the ICPC did not prove its allegations in court. In counts 1 and 2, which bordered on how Lawan allegedly demanded $3 million from business mogul Femi Otedola to remove his company from the list of defaulters in the fuel subsidy scam. Remember? So she said the ICPC didn't prove their case in count 1 and 2. However, she went on to rule that, where's that ruling? She was like, where is that? Give me a sec, yeah. She eventually convicted Lawan of that same money, of that same bribery. She convicted him to 5 years imprisonment. So she reduced his jail from 7 years to 5 years imprisonment. That's a record. Meanwhile, others, right? Somebody said, checks by the Whistler showed that aside from Justice Akek, the 5-man panel of justices that presided over the 2019 presidential election petitions have all left the Court of Appeal, except Justice Peter Ige. Now, that's another justice who is part of them, Ige. So that one is part of the last Appeal Court justices who listened to the petition of Atiku against Buhari in 2019. The rest of them are gone, except for him, Ige. Now, they said since the tribunal has 180 days, hang on, I haven't even told you about others. Okay. There's also Justice Aruna Simon Samani. So, Aruna Samani, Justice Samani, 64 years old justice from Bauchi State, right? They said that, he granted, meanwhile, okay. So he is the justice of the Court of Appeal that granted Peter Obi and Atiku their prayers when INEC was playing them hide and seek on inspecting the election materials that they used in the election, right? It was this Justice Aruna that gave that judgment that they must be allowed to see them. And when INEC was also dodging them, it was the same justice who also gave an order that INEC should be served, substitute serving or so whatever. Yeah, anyway, that is, if INEC is not going to receive the court judgment themselves, they can serve them through a third party until they obey the court order. So that's the justice. Now, meanwhile, they said Tsunami has presided over various election and financial matters as a judge. One of those cases is a petition filed by the former governor of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi, challenging the judgment of the 2019 Election Petition Tribunal, which had, on November 19, same year, upheld PDP's Kola Balogun's as winner. Remember, so it was this judge. They said Balogun was said to have pulled the star, and then Ajimobi based his petition on the allegation that his PDP counterpart was not qualified to represent his party at the election. So Justice Aruna, who prepared the lead judgment, dismissed Ajimobi's petition for lacking in merit, holding that a person who was not part of a political party has no right to challenge the outcome of his primary election. So does that tell you something? That Ajimobi versus the PDP candidate at the time, even though Ajimobi went on to win at the appeal court, at the Supreme Court. So he said this justice was one of them who told Ajimobi then that it's none of your business whoever PDP nominated as their candidate, because you are a member of another party. So it's none of your business, whatever they did with their party and their candidates. So that's the justice. So look out for him. There's another one called Justice Stephen Jonah Hadda. Now, Jonah Hadda is also one of the appeal court justices that granted Obi and Atiku's request in this past few days or weeks against INEC, also against Tinubu, when Tinubu lawyers were dodging the petition of Obi and Atiku towards this judge too. Anyway, so they said that Hadda has passed verdict on several cases, and one of his landmark decision was in the appeal filed by the EFCC against Goodluck Jonathan's cousin, Robert Azibaola. That's his name. So Jonathan's cousin was accused of stealing $40 million. So $40 million, and then EFCC took him to court, and the court, right, ruled in the favor of Jonathan's cousin. So EFCC appealed. So when they went to the appeal court, it was this Justice Stephen Jonah that presided over that case, and they call it landmark because he told EFCC that they couldn't prove anything. All the allegations, all the count charges against Jonathan's cousin, and therefore he was discharged and acquitted. So Jonathan's cousin was one of those that were being like paraded for looting Nigeria money when Dasuki case. You remember that Dasuki Gate. So those who were sharing money, those who collected money from Diezani, millions of dollars hotel, this. So Jonathan's cousin was one of them, and he won because that justice said EFCC couldn't prove anything. Everything they said were just on the media, whatever. So another one of them is Justice Abba Bello Muhammad. That one is from Kano State. Okay, so Justice Abba Bello is 62. All these judges are actually in their 60s, 61, 62, 65, like that. So Justice Abba Bello Muhammad, his own landmark judgment that has to do with election from record was during the 2019 governorship election between Emmanuel Ombugadu and governor, that one is the Governor Abdullahi Sule. I think that's Nasarawa, I believe. So Muhammad dismissed the petition for lacking a merit, holding that the petitioner's allegation of overvoting and electoral violence could not be substantiated. So a judge who is part of this panel has ruled in the past that electoral violence that cannot be proved cannot cause the court to nullify an election. So these are the 5 justices. So they are thinking Justice Monica will be the lead judge or lead judge in this Obi versus Tinubu versus Atiku's case. I'm sorry, versus INEC case, as well as Atiku versus Tinubu versus INEC case. So these are the faces of those who will determine whether Tinubu is going to be a ceremonial president or is going to be your next nightmare, your next shaggy for the next 4 years. So let's now get down to the bus. Petition is kind of boring. Usually, if you read petitioners who are like writing the reason why they want an election to be cancelled, okay, so long, 170, whatever, So, but it becomes kind of fun when you start reading the response of the defendants. And this is where I'm going to pick what I think I should share with you, because it is really boring to be reading them, versus and all that. So Wahala started when Atiku's lawyers, in their petition, they pointed out areas that they felt like, and they said they will prove that Tinubu didn't score the number of votes allocated to him in some part of northern Nigeria. Yeah? And is also that's Atiku now, is also challenging the rigging of PDP in some part of southern Nigeria by INEC. The figures that are not matching what the figures they have, they are not matching what INEC declared. Now, when they're asking INEC to present what they declared, INEC started playing hide and seek. Now, let me now tell you where things are so interesting. Where some people believe that maybe, just maybe, Tinubu is just counting days to be sworn in, and then he can just kill this whole thing entirely, just same way he did in 1999 when he was sworn in as governor. Because if you read the response of INEC, as well as the response of Tinubu's lawyers to some of the petitions, to some of the allegations in the petitions of Obi and Atiku, you will think these guys are actually not interested in defending anything. They are like, I'll give you an example. In Obi's petition, good enough, the obedient were those who did the FBI job that finally nailed Tinubu. All this while, when you want to talk about Tinubu, you will talk about him being corrupt, he's a godfather, he's a fascist, and whatever you want to call him and all that. Oh, he didn't go to any school, Jare. He's committed perjury and all that. But nobody has actually been able to nail Tinubu like the obedient nailed him now. When I said obedient because the person that put Tinubu on that map for everybody to begin to research him, David Undenyi, is also in support of the annihilation, the extermination of the establishment, PDP, APC. Therefore, you can call him obedient because they have been the ones who have amplified this. And in fact, they have been the ones who have kept saying, blackmail us, gaslight us, even kill us, beat us, do all of that. But you always come back to the main point. Here are the 5 reasons why Tinubu should not be president of Nigeria. Remember, PDP, APC, then be same, Abi. So while all this information were out there, PDP ignored it. They ignored all the information. They ignored all the evidence. Are you with me? But now, Atiku is building his case on the evidence developed discovered, amplified by the obedient. Give them that credit. I have my reason for mentioning that. Because Atiku today is now adding extra prayers after Tinubu and his lawyer called him a time waster, a serial contestant, and then a serial loser. So Atiku is now has called his lawyers to now please tap into all this available info and then tell the court, tell this justice, these judges, that Tinubu is constitutionally crippled, constitutionally disabled. That's the word. Atiku said, in fact, it's like I'm already jumping the gun. So let's go back to where the boost actually started from. So after this whole evidence have been in the whole space all this while, PDP, they were supposed to be the main opposition. They avoided that convo because even Atiku self, na certified criminal. Are you with me? The SPV, Special Purpose Vehicles, how to loot, how to steal Nigeria money without it or a penny of it being traced to you. SPV. He who wants to come to equity must come with clean hands. So they ignored. Do you remember? Atiku no fit go America. Tinubu no fit go America, except they pay some lobbyists. The lobbyists that are going to, clear road for them. And then they can begin to take pictures beside the school buildings. And they will tell you they are meeting some diplomats. They are meeting some international partners. So they avoided all the information. They avoided all of this. But it can't be like Selmo going to court and say that I won. Atiku is saying he won. I won the election, but Tinubu rigged me out. It's like a new joke. So Atiku is demanding that Kolu should be totally disqualified. Because how could you make a drug dealer, a drug baron, the president of Nigeria? In Atiku's words, where is that? I'll read it to you. It said, Tinubu when Atiku submitted his petition. So Tinubu, lawyer, when they saw that, they said, this whole thing Atiku is putting here, where is he even going to get the numbers from? That from what we have, if we should release the real figure, Atiku will cry. But Atiku is just here to waste the time of the courts. Atiku is telling the court that Tinubu didn't score 25% in Abuja. That's similar to Obi, isn't it? They said that INEC declared fake figures for Tinubu in about 20 states. 20 states. You heard me right. 20 states. They said that the real figure that they have, that if Tinubu APC, they didn't even win. Win 25%. 25, not that winning states would like win 25% in 12 states. Tinubu no score more than 25% in 12 states. So they want to prove that. So then Tinubu's lawyers started laughing, like, homo, this one don't even know what happened. No say if we have to do the rigging properly. Now Obi we supposed to put second, so that we can now put you Atiku third. But you see that Obi, if he should by any mistake be the second, if they say we not go get sworn in, they will believe it too. So this Atiku, so it was like a joke to them. They were not putting up any real defense. They were saying that Atiku as a person, right, has been contesting to be president of Nigeria since 1993. This is not even funny. It's not fun. That's what they said. In defense against Atiku's petition, Tinubu people were telling the court that Atiku is a waste of time, that he has been contesting to be president since 1993. Atiku is not destined to be president of Nigeria. That you think I'm making that up? No, I'm not. That's what Tinubu's lawyer said. They said God doesn't want Atiku to be president of Nigeria, that the court should throw his petition out because God doesn't want him to be president. Along. So now, Atiku and his lawyers are back. And reacting, they said that, it was like Atiku is a serial loser. So Atiku and his guys, and his lawyers, when they went back, they said, listen to this. So they said, said, my identity, Atiku's identity, which comprises of his age, state of origin, and educational qualifications have never been in dispute like those of Tinubu. That is true. He said, Tinubu is constitutionally disabled from contesting for office of president of Nigeria. Tinubu is unfit to lead Nigeria, having been indicted for drug-related offenses in the United States of America and made to forfeit a sum of $460,000 as a compromise agreement. So now, not just that, they said the Chief Chris Uche, SAN, the PDP presidential candidate, justified why the declaration of Tinubu as president-elect cannot stand, adding that against the law, Tinubu owes dual citizenship of Nigeria and Guinea, having voluntarily acquired the citizenship of the Republic of Guinea. They said Tinubu is not disclosing fact of his constitutional qualifications in Form EC9 submitted to the INEC, contrary to the provisions of the law. So, now justifying his request for the annulment of the declaration of Tinubu as president-elect, Atiku said that Tinubu and APC never won majority of the lawful votes cast in the February 25th presidential election. So, Atiku maintained that Tinubu failed part of the constitutional requirement, having failed to score 25% of the votes in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as constitutionally required. So, Atiku and Obi, in their petition, they agree that before you can be declared president of a country, you should at least score 25. They don't say you should win Abuja. You don't have to win. No. You must at least score 25% of the vote in Abuja. Tinubu scored 11. Well, INEC couldn't rig that. So they declared that Tinubu scored 11%. So constitutionally, according to Atiku, Tinubu is constitutionally disabled, as if to say you will not get that constitution for it. Anyway, so he said, he said that the return of Tinubu as the winner of 2023 presidential election is undue, unlawful, and invalid because Tinubu did not meet the constitutional requirement as to qualification. Rather than addressing the issue raised against him and the disputed election, Atiku said that Tinubu deliberately chose not to answer points of substance in the petition and opted for contradictory and vague facts. So, where's the other part? Let's say God has said, well, anyway, you don't need that. That's just like the other extra when reporters are kind of adding extra. So, when Tinubu people, when they wanted, do you know how they responded to that Guinea passport? They said, the Guinea passport, hang on, in fact, it wasn't even Tinubu that responded. Do you know who responded about the Guinea passport? Yara, that Malian drug lord that you watched his video a few days ago. I told you, I didn't even know, Baba, 10 they happen in Africa. Kinimowi, what did I say? 10 is happening in Africa. You see that Yara, Osman Yara, that you saw his video with Tinubu inside the chopper. Abi? So he has already responded to that video. They probably released the video. He probably did. Right? Now he said Tinubu is his friend. So that Osman Yara, the drug lord from Mali, is also the African Union ambassador. Can you believe that? He's an ambassador for African Union. You remember that when we talk when we were younger, when they were calling them OAU, Organization of African Unity or something. OAU. Remember? No, they changed the name years back. And they are now called AU, like EU, EU, European Union, African Union. That Yara, is an ambassador for that. An African Union in Africa is like, it's the union of all African states, where all the head of state of Africa, they come together, they meet, they discuss about Africa, their countries, conflicts, and all that. That Yara na ambassador, AU ambassador. This one is not honorary AU, official AU. That gives him access to meet African presidents inside the presidential palaces across Africa. Honestly. So he responded. They call him Ambassador Osman Yara. Along. This was a guy that was arrested for drug trafficking, cocaine trafficking in Mali. 32 kilograms of cocaine. He was caught. Himself and his gang. They were awaiting trial. When they finally appeared in court, the custom that investigated them and arrested them and put them on trial, the custom came back and they said the drug disappeared. The drug, the evidence is missing. So when there is no evidence, and immediately they said evidence is missing, all of them that confessed to all their drug dealings, all of them, they just retracted all their statement. Oh, no, we didn't say that. Oh, you were the one who told us this and that led to the arrest of that one. That led to the discovery of more drugs. No, we didn't say that. Oh, no, you forced us to say that. So at the end of the day, the court in Mali, freed him. He is ambassador. So it's not even just a drug dealer that is just like a friend of another drug lord. No. He has the emblem authority to go everywhere in Africa. You give drug lord, free pass all over Africa, diplomatic passports. So he's now the one who is now explaining that video. And he said that the diplomatic passports that they gave to Kolu Tinubu, which then makes him the citizen of Guinea-Conakry, it is that drug dealer Yara who said it is honor. It was given to Tinubu by Alpha Conde. Remember Alpha Conde, the former president that got overthrown, Buhari Tinubu friend. Na military day Guinea-Conakry now for the past 2 or so years. Sure you get. So now let me tell you something. A drug dealer from Mali is explaining diplomatic passport as honorary citizenship. Now, if you are given any citizenship anywhere, and they say, for example, let's say somebody say you are like they give you the honorary citizenship of Kampala in Uganda, or Nairobi. You see Nairobi in Kenya, let's say the governor of Nairobi decided to make Mayegun the honorary citizen of Nairobi, Kenya. It simply means I am recognized, probably having made some contribution to Nairobi or to Kenya in some way, and to honor me, they will now give